Hello friends, welcome to Annie Update. How are you all? I hope you are doing well wherever you are. In this video, I will continue the anime series Mob Psycho 100 Part 2. But before that, I strongly recommend you watch the previous part first, so you can understand the storyline. The link to the video is in the description below. Alright, without further ado, let's start the story. Previously, we saw Mob, who finally decided to join the self-improvement club, which he did, to build his body in order to attract Tsubomi's attention. But unfortunately, Mob couldn't keep up with the intense training. Conducted by the members of his new club, often Mob would pass out and be left in the care of Tome and her friends. Meanwhile, the telepathy club was very grateful to the self-improvement club for still allowing them to use their room. After that, Tome asked why Mob was working so hard to join the self-improvement club. Mob then said that he just wanted to build his physical strength, because all this time he had always relied on his supernatural powers. But Tome didn't believe that someone could possess such powers. Hearing that, Mob immediately demonstrated one of his telekinesis abilities. To all of them, this left them all very shocked, but Tome, seeing that, felt enlightened. With great enthusiasm, she invited Mob to work with her, to research telepathy together, because all this time she had read every guidebook on telepathy, but her efforts were futile. But unfortunately, Mob immediately refused, because he had weight training to do afterward. He did this so that he could be seen as attractive by others, but Tome, hearing that, instead said that Mob only wanted to become famous. Tome said that muscles wouldn't make Mob famous, but using telepathy to read women's minds was the most effective move. After school, Mob went to see Reigen and asked him about telepathy, but unfortunately, Reigen didn't know anything about telepathy, let alone how to use it. After that, on his way home, Mob was suddenly stopped by a masked woman, very strange. The woman then started asking questions about all the problems Mob was facing, even his romantic issues. This left Mob very shocked. The woman then invited Mob to come with her, with the promise of making Mob famous. Mob, being very naive, followed her without hesitation. The mysterious woman then took Mob to a place where there was a 1-month-old cult called the Laughing Out Loud Religion. Their cult was led by a man named Mr. Dimples, who had mysterious powers and could make everyone laugh happily. Upon arriving at the place, Mob saw that everyone was wearing the same mask as the woman. Shortly after, Mob was taken to the stage, but coincidentally, Mob's classmate named Misato was also there with a middle-aged man who had just been fired from his job. After a moment, Mr. Dimples then arrived at the scene, and strangely, his arrival immediately made all the masked people burst into joyful laughter. The three of them watching were utterly confused about what was happening. After that, Mr. Dimples introduced the three of them. To everyone in the room, he also explained the purpose of the religion he led, which was to make everyone happy by laughing as much as they wanted. Shortly after, the middle-aged man was given a mask like the others wore, but Misato immediately refused, saying that she was actually a reporter for her school newspaper who wanted to expose the cult's malicious methods like hypnosis and brainwashing to recruit members. But suddenly, Misato couldn't speak anymore. When the middle-aged man's mask was removed, he instead laughed uncontrollably. Mr. Dimples then said that the man had found his happiness. Misato, who panicked, felt something was wrong in that place. She then apologized and begged to be allowed to leave, but unfortunately, Mr. Dimples didn't let her leave just like that, and immediately put a mask on Misato, and unexpectedly, within seconds, Misato was forced to laugh after wearing the mask, even though she didn't want to laugh. But strangely, the mask had no effect at all on Mob. Mob then realized that the cult wasn't about making people famous. He then wanted to leave the place, seeing that Mr. Dimples and everyone else were shocked because Mob didn't laugh at all after wearing the mask. Mr. Dimples then immediately stopped him and persuaded Mob to join them, saying that Mob would lose his life if he continued to live with such a flat expression. But Mob still refused, having no other choice. Mr. Dimples then challenged Mob to a staring contest, but they had to drink milk first, and the first person to laugh would lose. But shortly after, everyone who competed against Mob couldn't make him laugh even a little, seeing this. Mr. Dimples then stepped in to face Mob, but cunningly, he had already mixed something into the milk that Mob drank. As a result, Mob immediately threw up. Mr. Dimples then said that Mob had lost and laughed. But Mob insisted that he didn't laugh at all. Getting annoyed, Mob then released a bit of his power, making everyone in the place snap back to reality. Mr. Dimples, seeing this, used his powers to make them laugh again. Under his control, having no other choice, Mr. Dimples then tried to use his powers on Mob, but before doing so, he asked Mob to read the room around him. Those words made Mob remember his childhood, when he was always gloomy and very quiet, while all his friends laughed happily. Sabomi, seeing that, then asked Mob to read the room around him. Shortly after, Mr. Dimples used his powers on Mob, but once again, Mob's face didn't change at all, other than his flat, expressionless look. This made Mr. Dimples very frustrated. He finally realized that Mob actually had supernatural powers, just like Mob realized that Mr. Dimples wasn't human, and also had supernatural powers just like him. After that, Mr. Dimples ordered all his followers to attack Mob, but suddenly, Mob could no longer hold back his emotions that he had suppressed all this time. He then immediately blew them all away. Mob also challenged Mr. Dimples to fight using his full strength, rather than struggling to make Mob laugh. Hearing that, Mr. Dimples then revealed his true form to Mob, known as the Evil Spirit. Dimples, after that, he immediately attacked Mob, but he was no match for Mob at all. Just by standing still, Mob was able to block his attacks and injure him. Even his full power was nothing compared to Mob. Mob then warned him not to provoke his emotions, but the evil spirit Dimples refused to give up. He then shot a laser beam from his mouth at Mob, but once again, the attack couldn't harm Mob at all. After that, Mob quickly destroyed the evil spirit, Dimples, just by using his fingers. A few moments later, Mob told Reigen about all the events and asked for his advice and guidance, but Reigen instead said that Mob didn't need to worry about anything because Mob had saved everyone from the evil spirit. The next morning, the Salt Middle School gang led by Onigawara had just beaten up the Black Vinegar Middle School gang, which was led by Edano, having no other choice. Edano then contacted their true leader, named Teruki Hanazawa, and unexpectedly, shortly after, Onigawara and his gang members were immediately defeated by Teruki in an instant. Meanwhile, at home, Mob, who had just woken up, was greeted by a small green spirit, who turned out to be the evil spirit, Dimples, that Mob had defeated earlier. He then tried to persuade Mob to work together to conquer the world, just like his original goal. When forming the cult that Mob had previously destroyed, hearing that ridiculous idea, Mob wanted to erase Dimples from the face of the earth. This made Dimples very scared. He said he didn't want to leave this world, and promised not to cause any more trouble, though he was clearly faking it. Mob, being kind-hearted, allowed him to live, as long as he didn't cause trouble at home, or at Mob's school. Meanwhile, at his office, Reigen was visited by a client who wanted to remove an evil spirit from a photograph. With great enthusiasm, Reigen then used his special technique, which involved using computer software to erase the strange figure in the photo. Shortly after, Mob and Dimples came to see him. Dimples was very shocked to find out that the strange man in front of him was Mob's teacher. Dimples also realized that Reigen had been taking advantage of Mob all this time, since Reigen was just an ordinary human at that moment. Mob asked Reigen for advice on what to do about Dimples, who kept following him. But of course, Reigen couldn't see him. He then casually said that Dimples was just a tiny insect to him, until Reigen faintly saw him. Reigen then suggested that Mob do whatever he wanted with Dimples. Meanwhile, at Salt Middle School, Misato began asking Ritsu a lot about Mob. At first, Ritsu didn't want to entertain her questions, but Misato said that there was something interesting happening with Mob, and herself, hearing that, Ritsu decided to tell her about Mob's powers. He said that since childhood, Mob had been his role model, even though Mob hadn't shown his powers to anyone in a long time. Hearing that, Misato wanted to write about Mob based on what she'd heard from Ritsu in the school newspaper, but Ritsu didn't agree and immediately refused. Ritsu actually greatly admired and was also obsessed With Mob's supernatural powers, as his younger brother, he also thought and hoped that he would have the same powers as his brother. The next morning, Ritsu asked Mob why he no longer used his powers. Mob, hearing this, then said that he didn't want to use his powers in his daily life. Instead of using his powers, Mob felt very envious of his wise and high-achieving brother at school. Even his psychic powers couldn't help Mob. During math exams, meanwhile, on the other side, Onigawara, who had been beaten badly, then went to see the Self-Improvement Club. He came to ask the Muscular Club for help to fight the Black Vinegar Middle School gang, who had defeated them. But Onigawara's request was immediately rejected, because the Self-Improvement Club was a peace-loving club and was very against violence. But at the same time, Onigawara got an idea when he saw Mob, who had a very skinny build among the muscular men at his locker. Mob strangely found a love letter from a girl, which shocked him greatly, but Dimples warned Mob that it was a fake love letter, and sure enough, it turned out to be a fake love letter created by Onigawara, who asked Mob to meet him at a park near their school, and even more ridiculously, Mob believed it, even though Dimples had already warned him. Meanwhile, Onigawara also sent a challenge letter to the Black Vinegar Middle School gang at the same place where Mob was to meet, and sure enough, not long after, Mob met the kids from the Black Vinegar Middle School gang and was immediately captured by them. Additionally, Onigawara sent a fake kidnapping letter supposedly written by the Black Vinegar gang to the Self-Improvement Club. This made Captain Musashi, the club leader, very angry. Meanwhile, Mob, who had been captured, had no idea what was going on. They then used Mob as a hostage to lure Onigawara to the place. Even though Dimples tried to convince him, Mob still refused to use his powers to free himself. Shortly after, Mob's friends from Salt Middle School arrived at the scene, but it wasn't Onigawara as they expected. Instead, it was Captain Musashi, along with the Self-Improvement Club members. This shocked Adano and all his gang members when they saw that many of their gang members had already been taken down in an instant, especially when they realized that Mob was friends with a group of muscular men. Adano realized that Onigawara had tricked and set him up, however. An angry Adano ordered all his members to attack Captain Musashi and the Self-Improvement Club members, but they were no match for the 5 muscular men. As a result, they were all beaten badly, but shortly after, their true leader, Teruki, arrived at the scene. Captain Musashi then said their business was done and they would soon leave the place. But Teruki didn't let them leave just like that. Suddenly, he immediately attacked Captain Musashi and his friends, and shockingly, Teruki defeated them all with just a few punches. At the same time, Onigawara then appeared and immediately attacked him, but strangely, none of Onigawara's punches could land on Teruki. After that, Teruki unleashed a bit of his power and knocked Onigawara down instantly. And now Mob was the only one left. Mob then warned Teruki not to use his powers on ordinary humans. After that, Mob used his psychic powers to untie the ropes that bound him. Teruki, seeing that, was very surprised. He couldn't believe there was someone else with powers like his, especially when he saw Dimples always clinging to Mob. After that, Teruki wanted to test who was the strongest between them, and suddenly, he immediately attacked Mob, but Mob didn't feel a thing. Mob was instead confused as to why Teruki attacked him, even though he did nothing. But Teruki didn't stop there. He used his telekinesis powers again to attack Mob. But Mob didn't want to fight Teruki, because he always remembered Reigen's advice to never use his psychic powers to fight or harm others. But Teruki ignored him and kept chasing Mob. Dimples, who was very annoyed with Teruki, tried to stop him. He then used all his remaining power to transform and intended to teach Teruki a lesson, but suddenly Teruki immediately destroyed Dimples in an instant. Seeing that, Mob recalled the times he spent with Dimples, but even so, Mob felt nothing and maintained his flat expression, which made Teruki very angry, and he immediately attacked Mob using his full strength. So powerful that the entire building at the site was destroyed, but Mob still stood by his principles and didn't fight back at all. After that, Teruki used his telekinetic powers to try and kill Mob using knives. Even though he didn't actually want to kill Mob, he just wanted to provoke Mob to use his powers, but unexpectedly, Mob created a shield to protect himself and reflected the knives back at Teruki. Accidentally, the knives shaved part of Teruki's head bald. This made Teruki furious, and this time, he truly wanted to kill Mob. Meanwhile, Mob could only hide behind the small shield he created. For a moment, Teruki began boasting to Mob, saying that he was the chosen one, and Mob was his enemy, but Mob said that the two of them were actually the same, just losers without their psychic powers. Hearing this made Teruki even angrier. In his rage, he tried to kill Mob by choking him, and once again, Mob didn't fight back. This left Teruki confused by Mob's reasoning. In such moments, Mob recalled his past with his younger brother when they were bullied and harassed by a group of delinquents. At that time, Mob accidentally injured the three thugs and his brother with his psychic powers. A few moments later, Mob finally passed out due to Teruki's choking. Seeing this, Teruki decided to leave Mob behind. Mob woke up in his full form and at full power. Even with just a glance, Mob tore all of Teruki's clothes apart and made him kneel. But strangely, this made Teruki very happy because Mob had finally used his powers. But not for long. When Teruki realized that Mob was unconscious, his panic increased even more. When Mob started absorbing Teruki's power, this made Teruki realize that he shouldn't have awakened what was inside Mob. Slowly, everything at the scene began to lift into the sky, including Teruki. Terrified, Teruki finally admitted he was wrong and promised never to use his powers again against ordinary humans. He also realized that he, too, was just an ordinary human. Shortly after, Mob finally regained consciousness. He could only cry, realizing that he had failed to change, especially since he caused so much destruction with his powers after that. Teruki approached Mob, intending to say something to him, but suddenly the Self-Improvement Club members interrupted their conversation and invited Mob to return. Meanwhile, Edano and his gang members had no choice but to run away. Seeing their boss defeated and left naked, before going home, Mob searched for Dimples but couldn't find him. At home, Mob suddenly apologized to Ritsu for what happened years ago when Mob lost control of his powers. But his brother didn't seem to mind and said that his older brother was only trying to protect him from the delinquents who were bothering him at the time. Shortly after, Ritsu watched the news about the supernatural phenomenon of flying building debris, which was caused by Mob and Teruki's earlier fight, but Ritsu didn't believe that his brother was responsible for it, and the film ended. Alright friends, that concludes the storyline of Mob Psycho 100 Part 2. We'll discuss Part 3 in the next video. Friends who don't want to miss the next story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Alright friends, I'm signing off and see you in the next video.